Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing all about planning and preparing for the next homeschool year. So I'm definitely someone that the planning and preparing is almost my favorite part. I just think it's so fun to look over the whole year and see all of the things we get to learn, because even for myself, I'm enjoying so much just learning everything that my children are learning. And then at the same time, I also want to make sure that we have enough time to actually get it all in and that we're thinking about all of the different things that could come up throughout the year, different things we'll need, and all that. So let's just dive on into it. I've done a lot of this, and then some of this I still need to do for the next few weeks. Ideally, we plan to start in August. Definitely check the laws around homeschooling in your state. I know for me, this is the first year that we actually have to register our homeschool. Like today is like the first day that I can. So I'm really excited for that, which maybe is like a nerdy thing to be excited for. But yeah, so make sure you know all of like the rules for your state and different things you need to like keep track of. So first thing, which I feel like is the most obvious, probably exciting thing, is ordering your curriculum. We use Memoria Press. I love Memoria Press. I'll link them down below. If you use my code, it really helps us, so definitely consider that. But order your curriculum, get used to your curriculum, read it all over. And then along with that, with Memoria Press, they have read alouds that you can order. I just order them off Thrift Books. That's what this package is. I ordered our read alouds, and with Thrift Books, sometimes they just come in like 5 different packages over like a week. So I think this should be our last one. Order your curriculum. That's the most important exciting part. So the first thing I do is I grab our curriculum manuals. For us, we're using Memoria Press for our curriculum, and I don't think every curriculum has like a curriculum manual, but this is a really great thing about Memoria Press is it keeps everything so organized. Like every day of the week, it tells you exactly what you need to do each day for each subject. I really don't see the need for a homeschool planner using Memoria Press's curriculum manuals. These are one of the things about the curriculum that just shines. But first thing I do is I grab their curriculum manuals and I see how long the school year is. So I already know that Memoria Press, at least for these ages, I don't know if it changes as they get older, but it's a 34-week school year. 34 weeks. I think second grade technically had like a 35th week to finish one subject, but we just finished that subject in the 34th week. So then I print out just a blank full year calendar. And these are nice because you can see your whole year at a glance. And the first thing I do is I take a highlighter and I just mark off all the weeks that I know we're not going to be doing school. So I think of like maybe a week for Christmas, a week for Thanksgiving. I actually already did this one. So I marked 2 weeks off for Christmas in December, a week off in November for Thanksgiving. And then I also marked off 2 weeks in October for the baby. It's around when the baby's due. And I assume like maybe having 2 weeks off would be nice. I also know I just love getting back to my routine, so I wouldn't be surprised if I try to do less. So yeah, just look at your year calendar and think like, what do I have coming up this year? Do you have like a family holiday or, you know, maybe a birth or any big trips that you might not be doing homeschool? Another thing to consider, which once again, I always say I'm like a young homeschool mom. I don't know everything. I'm still learning as I go. But another thing to consider is whether you want to do year-round homeschooling or if you want a big summer break. This year we took a summer break and I'm really enjoying it, but I also see the pros in a lot of the other ways people do things. So I've even heard of people who take school off for a whole week every month and then maybe take like a shorter break for the summer, or people who just do it year-round and then just take tons of breaks whenever they want. I see the benefits in both. So that's something to consider, is whether you think you're more year-round or taking a summer break. Another thing to consider is whether you would do like a 4-day week or a 5-day week. Lots of things to consider, and it just really helps. Honestly, when I print off a copy of these, I print off like 3 copies because usually the first one I like scratch off and throw away as I think of different things. Even now, I'm still trying to decide, do I want to be like a summer breaker or year-rounder? And I think just as the years go on, we'll just settle into whatever feels best for us, as we're still like adding more to our plates with like different children getting older and homeschooling more children. I think, we're probably just going to adjust every year, and that's fine. So then after planning for the year, planning your week, whether you want to do 4-day, 5-day, then also get a good plan of like what you want your daily homeschool routine to look like. This is another thing, once again, where Memoria Press does have like a schedule laid out every day. And then also in the beginning of the curriculum manuals, they have a recommended schedule with times, like what time to start each subject, about how long each subject should take. And then this is also the one for kindergarten, which is definitely more simpler. What I plan to do is just look at these schedules and decide, okay, which subjects am I going to do with all of my children at once? Which subjects am I going to have to do separately? And then just kind of write out an ideal daily schedule of how ideally I would like things to look like. It's kind of hard to just do it this way, even though I do think it's beneficial, because in practice, things change and you realize like, okay, I thought that I could do it this way, but I'm realizing like, there's no way I can teach her this and the twins this at the same time. Like she really needs my attention, so you just learn as you go what your schedule could actually look like. But I do think it's good to have an idea going into it. Once again, I feel like just being very open-handed going into all of this of like, setting a plan, but realizing that your plan is probably going to change and you'll need to adjust as you go on. I've also shared in the past videos showing like what our routine looks like with homeschool. It's already changed so much since that video, and I'm sure once we start this year, it'll change more just because the kindergarten does require more. 3rd grade requires more. So yeah, our schedule will change, and I'll be sure to share a video showing our schedule as it's changing, and you guys are just here along for the ride. So now that we've gone through planning all of our time, we next need to consider all of the preparations we need to do. The first thing that comes to mind is if you're doing Memoria Press, I know that all of you probably aren't. In the back of the curriculum manuals, there's an appendix with a lot of just like helpful tools. The recitations are back here, prayers, a copy of like the read aloud list, poetry list. There's just a lot of like good stuff back here. So that's one thing I like to do is go through the curriculum manuals in the back before school starts, just to make sure I know like what tools they've given me, and then also things that I could be doing now. So for example, I think this is only 3rd and 4th grade with Memoria Press, but they include a whole section on a review box and making your review box. And there's all of these cards of just like review questions for each subject, for each week and each lesson. And that's one thing that I have already done in the summer. And I'm really glad that I looked over the curriculum manual, because I wouldn't have known to do that or have as much time during the school year to make a review box as I do in the summer. I'll show you that really quick. It's kind of confusing and I'm excited to use it like actually in practice, but it's basically this box with all these different dividers for subjects. And it has all of these cards. I had to copy the pages of the curriculum manual, print off the cards, cut them out, and then glue them onto little like 3x5 index cards. And then it just has like all the things that they need to memorize throughout the year on these cards for quick review. So I don't even think you have to do this. I think it says like you could also just do other things. I forget what they are. But this did seem like a very convenient idea for me to help me like make sure my daughter's on top of memorizing everything. So I was excited to make it. So if you do have a 3rd grader, or I believe 4th grader, look at their curriculum manual, because I think this is only for those ages. I would probably, if I were you, want to do it before the school year starts. Then similarly to reading the curriculum manuals, another thing you'll want to do is read the beginning of all of the books. So I just grabbed traditional spelling as an example, but all of the books have things like this, where in the book there is a few pages of just a general lesson overview. And it teaches you basically how to teach the lesson every day, what each part of the lesson is, a sample lesson plan. So it just basically just teaches you how to teach each subject. But yeah, I didn't totally do that, and I just kind of read through it as we were going through the year. And I definitely think there's things in here that would have been helpful to me throughout the school year, and I kind of learned later in the year like, oh, I should have been doing that. That would have been nice. Another thing that I do is I label the children's books. I've shared this many times, but I don't buy the read alouds directly from Memoria Press just because they are more expensive. I just take their read aloud list, and I find almost all of the books on either Thrift Books or Amazon I'll basically make my whole cart in thrift books of all of the read alouds that I need for them. And then I'll compare the prices to Amazon because I'm like, if they're the same price, I'd rather just get a new copy on Amazon rather than a used copy. But once I get all of their read alouds, then I will label them by color, which I actually just did today on this shelf for our new books. But this just makes it easier to find their read aloud book during the year. Another thing I would like to do, I've been like searching Facebook Marketplace daily looking for a new bookshelf because we are running out of book space and I just haven't been able to find one. But what I would like to do is just keep their read aloud books on a different bookshelf, like higher up where they can't just like grab the books and look at them throughout the day, just to kind of like keep them special, but then also so they don't get like lost. Because my kids just take books all over the house and then sometimes it's hard to find them. So it would be nice to have like a separate area for my read aloud books. I will link below what I use. I just got like this pack of washi tape off Amazon and I just label each book with the washi tape. And then I've also seen people say to cover that with, I believe, masking tape, just because the washi tape, the kids just can peel off so easy, which is definitely my experience. I did this last year to our books and a lot of them are like missing the tape. So I might try that too, but I haven't done that yet. Another thing I've done to prepare is I have just gone through everything in our homeschool room and just kind of taken a stock and just looking at what needs to be replaced or updated. So we had like a broken stapler that didn't work, so I got some staplers. Our colored pencils were looking bad. We needed like some more glue sticks and, you know, just all the regular school supplies. Just making sure you're stocked in all of that is just a helpful thing to do before homeschool starts. Another thing is I have in this cabinet, I've given a homeschool tour before, but maybe I should do an updated one. I have like toys down here that my children can use. So things like Duplo Legos or those brain flakes. We have like little alphabet robots that they like to play with. But I did add some new like special toys that we already had, but just kind of pulled them out of storage just to help with the little ones. So this year I'm going to be homeschooling my daughter and my twins, but then I'll still have a 4-year-old and then a 2-year-old and then also a newborn. So I feel like having special little exciting toys that those children, not really the newborn, but the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old can play with while we're doing homeschool will kind of help with like the distractions. Honestly, I feel like my kids are pretty good right now at just entertaining themselves while we're doing homeschool. But the 2-year-old, like, you know, sometimes he just wants me to hold him. Sometimes he wants a snack. Sometimes he wants, you know, just something. And I do think it'll be nice to have like special toys that they love in here that they can only play with during homeschool. So I brought down some Magnetiles because we've had those kind of in a closet for a while. And then I also brought down a basket of horses because they're all really into like cowboys and horses right now. That's like the big common interest in my home right now is horses and cowboys. And that leads me to another thing. Maybe consider what snacks you would want to have on hand in the fridge prepared for the little ones. I know for us, we always have bananas and apples on hand. We also have cheese sticks on hand. But then I'm even considering just having a day of the week where I do more baking and have things like dinner rolls, you know, stocked in the freezer, or maybe like bagels or pretzels or just some type of fresh milled thing that they would just like to grab while we're doing homeschool. I even thought muffins, just having muffins frozen in the fridge. I also feel like with like the size of my family at this point, it makes sense to kind of have more intentional baking times of the week, just because we go through bread so fast. Like I made 3 loaves last night and we're almost already through it today. And I was just listening to a podcast with Sue Becker and she was talking about how twice a week she would make 6 loaves for her family. And I think she had 9 children. Or maybe 7. Anyways, that's kind of a rabbit trail, but definitely consider what snacks you'd have prepared for your children that aren't doing homeschool, or even your children that are doing homeschool if they need a snack too. And then also along with that, consider easy lunches that you could have during the homeschool year. So I know like easy ones for us would just be like if I always have bread prepared, having like peanut butter and jellies, or if I always have pizza crust prepared in the fridge, making like a quick pizza. Like it's really quick if you have the dough prepared. And then also with that, my last thing is to focus on the habits that you want to have during the homeschool year. So if you're like wanting to wake up at 6:30 every morning, make sure you read your Bible and, work out or whatever your things are before your children wake up or before you start homeschool. Start those things now so that you're like prepared once homeschool starts. So that's something I've been doing now, is just trying to like really get my routines in order, sleep routines, also the children's chores, getting them like really on their chore routine. I feel like in June, it was just a busy month and we fell off a lot of our good habits. And now in July, I'm just wanting to make sure that we get back into our good habits for the school year. I've shared videos in the past on like our weekly schedule, our daily schedules. I have tons of resources like that I've made myself that are really helpful if I ever need to like get back on track. So I would definitely consider doing something like that. And that is everything that I'm doing right now to prepare for my homeschool. I still need to finish labeling my books. Still need to go through some of the teacher manuals. Those are upstairs on my nightstand. But overall, I'm just so excited for this homeschool year. I'm excited to finally register our homeschool. That's really exciting for me because we also have to name our homeschool, which is fun because I've been thinking about that for like years of what we would name our homeschool. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful to you. I plan to share more homeschooling videos. Next, I'll probably share a video on homeschool essentials and everything you need, including a good curriculum and supplies and all that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Make sure you like and subscribe. I post videos every Tuesday and I'll see you in the next one.